strong.
So good morning, everybody, and very happy Easter Monday to you all. This morning we have got, back by popular demand, because you guys are all like, when's Dean coming back on? And we have got Dean back on this morning, and we're going to be speaking about everything to do with mental health, everything to do with spirituality. Dean doesn't know this yet, but everything to do with everything to make us feel good. And Dean is known as the Scottish Wim Hoff. He is a cold water champion, so he's going to be speaking about that today as well. And without further ado, I'm going to bring Dean on. So you ready? 1, 2, 3. There he comes.
Hey!
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks
I
for
know
having
we've been
me.
chatting backstage, so we'll just pretend that we've not even spoke, right?
Yeah.
So, Dean, we weren't going to do this morning, but we're doing it now because Dean was like, do you have any icebreaker questions? I was like, no, but actually, aye, we do.
I like
So
being
I've just had to write up some. So, first question is, why cold water?
the feeling of being alive. There's nothing that quite compares to feeling that pleasant when you're in the cold. Not that I've found it. And just as soon as that cold hits your skin, it just snaps you into that zen feeling that you probably know yourself from meditation and whatnot. It's a brilliant feeling, as it snaps me back into the present moment. There's no anxiety about the future. There's no bad thoughts about the past. You're just there in the moment. And it's the only thing I've found in my life that gets me to that moment.
It freezes you in time, though, doesn't it? You know, like when you first go into that water, you're like, ooh, and then
Time slows down. It does. It's like a time machine. Just everything just you actually probably could hear the time moving. It just slows right down.
yeah, it is really, really amazing. We'll speak more about that in a wee bit. Next question is, I know you've got that barrel in your back garden that you jump in when you kind of get into the loch.
Yeah.
1 wee second. People are actually saying can't hear as echoes. Echoey. So who's echoey, guys? Is it me or Dean? Because I can hear Dean fine. Just to double check, because there's no point in us going on and.
I can hear the echo after I speak.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah, they're saying that you're echoing.
Sort this out here.
Technical difficulties, so we'll just work on that just now. Dean can work on his audio, and then hopefully you guys will be able to hear him.
Give me 2 seconds.
He's going to get his microphone. That's what he's going to do. So yeah, any of you guys who have got icebreaker questions for Dean as well, please do ask away. Feel free to ask away. You're getting your microphone, eh?
I'll set up.
coffee. It's not a good thing.
How's that? Is that in?
I can hear you completely fine. Can everybody else check? Can you guys hear Dean okay? Just let us know if you can. That's a great way to start this morning, Dean.
That's it.
I can hear you okay though. Say something.
See, I can still hear my ear from you. I don't know if it's.
No, I can hear you alright.
Yeah. Every time I hear an echo, it must be coming from your side.
That must be really annoying.
Hello? That sounds better. There's no echo there now.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no echo there now. Sorted.
Right. Good. At least we've fixed it. That's the main thing. Okay. And everybody's commenting saying, yep, that's it. They can hear you okay and they can hear me. And it's better that we get that fixed at the very beginning rather than go through a whole surgery and you be like, blah, 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 blah. So, done. Okay, so, Dean, cold water. We're going to jump back to that and we're just going to say why cold water, just in case anybody didn't hear that part.
Yeah, so the cold water for me it just makes me feel alive. It brings me to the present moment. There's no anxiety about the future, and it just, as I say, it just makes you feel alive. There's no bad thoughts. All thoughts are gone when you're in the cold water. It's just you in the present moment. Time slows down, and it's such a great feeling. You can't really describe it until you try it. I've been doing it every day. I actually done a 3-minute cold shower before we came on here. So it's just something I do every day. I love it. If I'm not in the shower, I'm out in my barrel. If I'm not in my barrel, I'm out in the water. So
yeah, it's amazing. As part of my routine as well, I always have a cold shower every single morning. I have a hot shower, and then what I do is I turn it to cold, and then back to hot, and then cold, and then back to. So it's like you're giving your immune system a bit of a boof.
Your body will be going crazy, yeah.
Yeah. And the science behind it as well, and I don't know if you know this, but we've been doing a lot of work with over the last year about engaging your parasympathetic nervous system. And I've been doing cold water immersion for about 2 years now, and I have to say, like the impact that it's had on me personally, on my mental health, on my physical health as well, on my skin. Your skin's so much better as well.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you're basically engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. You're causing that side of your nervous system to activate. And yeah, so what's your thought on that?
Yeah, that's one of many great benefits. Where you're putting your body under, you could call it good stress. It's over time it can decrease the heartbeat. So and it also helps the immune system. Putting it out that comfort zone, where it doesn't like that. It's a healthy stress. We constantly go through everyday life where our heartbeats are dealing with the stress, daily life, and it can be a lot of strain on our heart. And there's a lot of muscles around our heart, and they need to be healthy. They need to be strong. But putting too much stress on yourself is just like overworking out. There's no benefit to it. It causes more damage than good. Cold water is like a healthy stress. It's not insane, but it's like a healthy level that it ends up strengthening these muscles around the heart that help pump the blood, help the heartbeat lower. There's so doing these cold showers, I think Wim Hof says 10 days, you start to notice a difference scientifically backed, that these muscles begin to get stronger. They're able to help the blood push around our heart easier, and our heart rate begins to drop a big amount. There's a girl, we do this book club, self-development book club, and there's a girl in that, and she said to me, I think it was about a month ago, she has a heart condition, and she's got bad asthma as well. And she was recording her heart rates, and her heart rates were through the roof. And she joined the book club. We're speaking at the cold water. So I said to her, look, I told her the benefits of it, but I was, look, just be careful. Go to your doctor and maybe speak to them. And so she went to her doctor, and he says, look, that's okay. Just be careful in the water. So she started taking cold showers. And she's got like a Fitbit watch, and she sent me the difference in her heart rate. And she goes, I cannot believe this. My resting heartbeat has dropped dramatically. My asthma is not as bad. I'm not needing my inhaler as much. That's just from doing, I think she'd done it for 10 days, and she's noticed straight away. She's like, I'm going to keep doing it. She's like, I'm feeling as if my stress levels aren't as bad. The proof's there from my watch that my heart rate is now lower, and our asthma is a lot better now as well, which is mad. And she's like, sort of aim is to get to a stage where, she might not even have to take the inhaler anymore, which is mad, because she was saying she was in a bad way from it. And then that's obviously mixed with the self-development that we're doing through the book club. And she's just, if you invest that into yourself, we struggle as, there's like, I don't mind, we're talking about Jordan Peterson's book, where he says you're more likely to take your dog to the vet and feed it the medicine than you are to take the medicine yourself. And that's going on the back. We're not good to ourselves. How many times have you someone that's went to the doctor and they've been told, right, take this and take this and I'll help you. And then they go back to doctors, like 6 months later. Oh, I wasn't taking the medication. But then if you take your dog to the vet, and the vet tells you, look, you need to take this, or your dog needs to take this, or it's going to die, you're definitely going to give your dog that medicine. But when we're told ourselves, you need to stop smoking or you're going to die, you need to stop drinking, you're going to die. Are we good enough to ourselves not to do that? Majority of people aren't, and once we begin to realize we need to be good to ourselves, invest time into ourselves for our health, then it just goes to show that girl there, she's made a huge difference. And it's sometimes it can be hard for people to treat themselves well when we live in a world where we compare ourselves to others and feel really bad. We're just sometimes very, very damaging to ourselves. So
absolutely. And I think what you're saying there about, going to the doctor and taking that prescription medication as well, sometimes prescription medication is great for fixing acute problems in the body. But when it's long-term things, that's where self-development comes in. Yeah,
you need them both, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously we're not saying don't take your medication. You want to take that, but it's really, really important to develop you as well as, taking the medication that you might need for acute issues.
Sometimes that's a major problem. It's easy enough for, as I said, we can be better. We can treat our or treat our pets better than we can treat ourselves. But, we don't have sometimes people that are, in love in this cane to try and force us to take that medication. Like if your friend was in a bad way mentally, you would try and get them the help. But when you're in a bad place mentally, are you that good to yourself? You're not. People are majority better to other people and to their pets than they are themselves. And it's just mad. It's just that's the way kind of humanity's going, that we need to build on our own self-development. We need to invest into ourselves, because, as you said there, going to the doctors telling you to take something, it's easy to do that, but, you need to work on the self-development side as well. You need to be able to, build a stronger mindset, be more resilient, and it's something that should be teaching us more of. Self-development is very important. There's obviously medical health, but we need more mental health. So.
Yeah, because when we are in control of our emotional well-being, our physical well-being aligns with that,
Yeah, definitely.
And it's such a huge, big lesson for anybody to learn, when you're going through anything that feels horrible or stressful or difficult. if you are self-regulating and looking after your own emotional well-being, it's so much easier to get over that thing than it would be if you weren't self-regulating. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm someone, Dean, I never get colds. I'm never, ever, ever unwell, ever.
Yeah.
I think I maybe get once a year I'll get a cold, and that's it. You know, I'm always like, oh, here's my yearly cold.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm very, very well. I keep very well. And I think it is purely and simply because energetically my body is on a very high vibration because I keep myself emotionally well through
Yeah.
meditation, mindfulness, through eating well, exercising, cold water immersion, all of that stuff.
And people don't realize the impact a healthy brain, a healthy mindset has over your body. You know, both physically and mentally. You know what I mean? It's, you know, I think it's scientifically proven. You know, the stronger mindset you have, the healthier mind you have, the better your body can deal with stress. Stress in return makes us unwell.
Yeah.
You know, it's, if you're a more stressful person, you're more likely to catch colds. You know, you're more likely to get unwell. You know, and it's, you know, keeping that, it's so important to keep a strong mind. And I feel as I love the fact that people are trying to raise more awareness in that. But, you know, we are at a stage in humanity where it's probably the hardest time to have a strong mindset as well, because of social media, because of, you know, reality TV shows, because of the media, especially as well. You know, there's just so much going on in the world right now. Sometimes it can be very hard. That's why we need more people to, you know, to bring the awareness of keeping that strong mind. And it's great to see like all these things now becoming so well known, like the cold water therapy, meditation. You know, well, meditation's probably has been about for a long, long time, and it's great to see now it's coming into more of like a Western society. So it's getting more and more popular, which is great to see. And then the spirituality side, like the stuff you're doing as well, it's amazing. It's amazing to see now we're starting to see the coming away from the Western medical side and going back to the, you know, the old ways that worked before.
Absolutely. Energy medicine. And that's what we're actually moving into as well, as the age of energy medicine.
Yep.
Which is phenomenal. You know, things, GPs, doctors, I get lots of referrals now from GPs for people who are going through short-term stress.
Yeah.
Come to our meditation classes. It's phenomenal.
That's amazing.
And see if I was to take you back like 18 years ago when I first started teaching meditation, honestly, see when I would speak about meditation and people would be like, that's just for your hippies and, you know, your crazy folk. And see now, the amount of people that I have approaching me asking to do meditation, to be meditation teachers as well.
Yeah.
It's just mind blowing. I spoke last week about the statistics. I'm not going to share them again because I've been talking loads about it, but throughout this pandemic, 75% of people have reported stress and feelings of like high, massive stress levels, and they don't know where to get help. You know, 20% of those people will seek meditation or mindfulness or an alternative way of dealing with it. But you think, you know, see the numbers in that, it's mind blowing. It's something like 489,000 people in the population of West Lothian and Edinburgh alone.
Yeah.
That
is crazy.
And if that's only our area, imagine what it's like across the whole country.
Yeah.
You know, so
and it is great to see though, like as you just said, you're getting referrals from GPs because, you know, I feel like that's something that's only started to change in the last couple of years, because I remember when I was 18 years old and I was having a really hard time. I ended up in hospital, tried to commit suicide when I was 18, ended up in hospital, and not once was it ever mentioned to me about self-development. You know, I was given antidepressants and I had to go up to there's a place in Inverness called New Craigs, which is like a sort of like a place to stay to try and talk about your feelings and whatnot. And I wasn't sectioned or anything, but I didn't like it. Just being kind of pushed in there. And I was young, and I just didn't like it, so I didn't stay. And then carried on with the lifestyle I was having, spiraling out of control, partying and whatnot. And when I had to go and see the GP and had to go and tell them how I was doing and had to go and see these people. And not once was it ever mentioned to me about self-development. It's like, just take these. And coming now as a bit older, it's great to see GPs actually referring like people that are dealing with mental health problems to the likes of yourself, people that, because I felt especially, and this, I don't know, this might be the same for other people, but when I was going to see these therapists, I just felt like, well, how could you possibly know what I'm going through when you haven't faced it yourself? I was like, how can you tell me how to change? You've learned from a book. I've learned from life. You've learned from going to university and studying it. But I just felt like I couldn't speak to someone that hadn't been to the stage. They weren't sitting in people's houses all weekend just going wild. They were studying and learning how to do this stuff. But then as I got older, I started to meet older people, and these older people had dealt with their problems. They'd had a past like me, and it was these people that I learned from. I truly learned from these people, and a lot of the stuff I do on TikTok is a lot of mental health related stuff, things that have worked for me, especially because I suffer from really bad anxiety, and I share what works for me. And, I was never as open about all this stuff than I am now. The only reason I'm open now is because when I started to become more open, I felt like, when people could relate, I was helping people. And, if I feel like I can help people by telling my story or telling what works for me, then, I will share it and I will be open. And the response I've had, which the one thing that can be hard is like, I do get a lot of messages and I can't help everyone. I'm not like a specialist in that field. I can only give you advice on what worked for me. I can't promise them that it would work for them. So I give them my advice, and I do get a lot of messages. It's hard to stay on top of it, but it's going back to me feeling like that's what helped me. And if they can find it relatable, and I still do. I've got a lot of people I've met over TikTok. There's a group by a guy called Max Colby. I don't know if you've seen him. Max Colby stuff. So they call Max Colby Recovery, and he takes massive groups out in is it East Lothian? He takes massive groups out, and he's doing amazing. He's been there to that side himself, and now he takes massive groups out on like Sundays, Saturdays. So people are not out drinking; they're out climbing hills, doing cold water. And I went on a walk with him. And he just kind of blew my mind because I'm going and spend my time now with people that are had a past like me, but I've also moved on, and now we can all help each other. And it goes back to social circles as well. You are who you spend your most time with, and that's another thing to help self-development. Finding the people that are going to benefit you. That's one thing that helped me kind of sort my head out. It was kind of stepping aside from them kind of social circles. Obviously, I still have a lot of friends, but I know what's good for me and I know what's not. And there's just so much. You could go down a massive rabbit hole with all this stuff. But I'm going back to what I started off with if I went on a mad rabbit hole there. It's great to see GPs now referring people to, you could say, spirituality coaches or self-development coaches, or it's great to see. But I never had that, and I don't think it was about. And it's kind of, because it's coming mainstream now, it's great to see, because I'm pretty sure when, I can't remember who it was it Rockefeller or the Rothschilds that started the medical Western society side, all based on pharmaceutical drugs. They were creating the pharmaceutical drugs, and they then created the education of medical science. So what doctors were learning is what they were being taught by these people that wanted to sell pharmaceutical drugs. So they banned all of the natural remedies. They banned it all because, they were wanting to make money on the pharmaceutical drugs. So the medical Western society is based on this aspect of, we need to sell pharmaceutical drugs. It wasn't based on helping people at all. It was based on making money. And it's great to see now that they're going back to, because they were banned. All these natural remedies were banned, and all you could take was pharmaceutical drugs. But now it's great to see doctors actually do care now. I'm not saying they never did, but they do care and they want to help you. And it's great to see now that they're starting to be open more about GPs and they're wanting to be open more about referring you from your GP to people like you that are helping people as well. Because if a doctor doesn't know, the best advice is the best thing for you to do, he's probably better passing you on. You're just going to be in a loop. Just keep going back to him if he doesn't know how to help you progress. So, yeah.
That's the thing, though. It's getting GPs who are, and there's many open-minded GPs now.
Yeah.
Great. But what we're finding is that, I know this is going to sound really awful to GPs, but lots of the old school guys are retired now. So we've got the ones who are much more interested in helping people to develop themselves. Great, which is really, really good. And you'd mentioned there, Dean, about I want to come back to that actually, the whole pharmaceutical companies. If you've ever, I don't know, have you heard of Dr. David Hamilton?
No.
Go and take a note of him and go and read David Hamilton or Davy Hamilton. He's from Falkirk. He's an absolutely brilliant man. But he was I can't even remember what he was a chemist anyway, a biophysicist or whatever. So he would be responsible for drug trials and helping people. And what he was finding is that the placebo medicines were actually helping people more than the medication. So and the brighter the pill, so if it was a bright red pill that you were taking that was a placebo medicine, that was helping people more than the actual medicine itself. So he came away from that and started to work with people in their mind and how you can heal the body. And he's actually got a brilliant documentary on Netflix called Heal. So go and have a wee look at that as well. It's called Heal, just Heal, Heal. But I think you would love his stuff. Diane's saying there as well, because Diane and I have done some work with David, and obviously he's just mind-blowing. He's a brilliant man. So have a wee look at his stuff.
I remember hearing something there last week, and it blew my mind. It was when you're going back to that placebo effect, and they were doing these trials, and they were giving people pills that had nothing in them, and this guy that was on the trial took all the pills, took all of them, and went into the doctor with a high blood pressure. His heart was racing. He looked as if he was genuinely, well, from what the readings were saying, he was genuinely unwell. It genuinely looked as if he was overdosing. So he went in and they got the guy that was doing the trial in to take tests. And he turned around and said to me, he goes, "There's nothing wrong with you. You've took the pills that have got nothing in them." And like a switch, his blood pressure dropped, his heart rate dropped. That shows the power of the mind. The mind can literally make you unwell. That placebo effect made him unwell. I think that's mind-blowing. Like the doctors genuinely thought he was having a heart attack. His blood pressure was high, his heart rate was high, he was unwell, vomiting, but it was just all his mind. And as soon as the doctor in the trial told him, "No, there's nothing in them pills," he just switched like a. Shows the power of the mind. It's crazy.
The mind and the body are so intimately connected, but it's the one part that lots of people don't get. So that's where it's changing now, which is amazing. It's so good to see that change. And I have to say as well, thank you for being so honest about your journey as well, because I know as well from lived experience, being on that side where you don't want to be living anymore.
Yeah. And
coming out the other side of that. And actually, I think I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of suicide, but I do want to speak about it where, suicide continues to be the biggest killer of men between the age of 18 and 46, which is just mind-blowing.
It is.
And I think speaking about it, Dean, is the best thing that you can do, because personally myself, I never spoke about it for years because I was quite ashamed. And
I was the same,
nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to, whereas actually when you speak about it, people can relate to it and people can understand it. And so, thank you for being really honest and sharing that as well.
And as I said there, I got my biggest benefits from talking to people that had experienced it. And if it wasn't for people being so open about it, maybe might not be as healthy or minded as I am now, because the big part of it is you feel completely isolated. You feel alone. You feel like no one could possibly feel like the way you feel. And when you begin to understand that, you know, people do feel like this, you know, it's more common than you think, and then you don't feel alone in the world. You feel like you can get help. And that's the most important thing I found. When you're seeing people that don't feel like, when you're seeing people sharing the same, sharing the same experience, you can begin to understand that you're not alone, and that maybe finding help's what's right. So yeah, it's all about feeling not alone, and that was the biggest thing for me.
I want to. I was going to say to you as well about this, but the Golden Gate Bridge in America. So I'm just trying to remember his name. Kevin Hines, that's his name. So Kevin Hines, he is one of the very few people that have survived after jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. I think there's been something like 10,000 people have jumped and died, and he's one of like 200 or 300 people that have survived it. Yeah. But what he said, and what every single person who has, tried to complete suicide and not done it has said, is that the minute that their hands left the railings, they've instantly regretted it.
Wow. That's crazy.
And honestly, like, in my personal experience, when I done what I done, I instantly regretted it, but I couldn't change it because it was happening.
Yeah.
And I was in the car, and the car was tumbling, and I stupidly done that with the steering wheel of the car, and before I knew it, that was it. And there's that instant regret. So, for anybody who would be watching who may be feeling like that, there is that instant regret the minute that you do it. So don't do it. Scream, shout, ask for as much help as you can, because there's people out there that will help you. It could be Dean, it could be myself, it could be that you go and speak to someone who works in the field of mental health. It could be there's many charities, there's many organisations that can help you and support you with that. So
you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about it's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Because look at me and Dean, we're on the other side of that, and we're like, helping and doing all of that stuff, which is amazing. So I'm going to move on because that's a heavy subject.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, because you did want to have icebreaker questions if we've just kind of went off on one. So you've got a barrel in your back garden.
Yep.
That one of your good friends made for you. So when you're not able to jump into the loch or wherever it is that you're going, you can jump into your barrel.
Yeah.
So you'd spoke about that the last time, and someone had messaged, and I meant to ask you this. Someone had messaged, and I said that I was going to message you and ask, and I totally forgot. But she says, how does he fit into that barrel? How tall is he?
I'm 6 foot, but the barrel is massive. It's huge. Like it's obviously when he was making it for me, sending the photos, I was like, I don't think I'd fit in that. But honestly, when I jump in, I can literally sit down into a wee ball. It's massive. The thing's huge. You see, when he dropped off, I was like, whoa, I didn't think it'd be that big. These whiskey barrels are huge. Massive.
So what is it, 500 litres then, is it? Is it one of these big 500 litre ones?
It must be. It must be. It's huge. It's really big. Maybe not 500 litres. That's me going with my plumbing knowledge. I'm trying to work it next to a hot water cylinder.
Next question is, if you could be reincarnated as anything, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. Probably a bird. This may sound silly, but sometimes when I'm out running, or when I'm walking, or even when I'm driving, I just have this fascination with birds. The fact that they can they can just get up and they can just go. They can just fly away, and I don't know. Birds just really fascinate me. I think just the freedom birds have. I can imagine it being an amazing feeling just gliding through the sky, and they get to see all the. Probably a bird. It would have to be. Definitely a bird. I don't know what type of bird. I'd have to think of that.
Have you ever done a skydive?
Yes, amazing.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I loved it. And I never thought that I would really enjoy it. But skydive is just the most amazing feeling in the world.
If I was a millionaire, that'd be the first thing I'd be doing, going and learning how to do it free, free solo sort of stuff. It's just unbelievable. It's what a feeling it is.
When you skydive, that it feels like you're flying. See, for me, it did not feel like I was flying. It felt like I was falling. Did you have that experience as well? Did you feel like you were just falling really fast?
As soon as I left the plane, yeah. And it does. See I think, what are you, 20 seconds before the parachute opens?
Something like that.
But it just goes like that. Just what a feeling it was. At first, the initial stomach, the upset stomach, as soon as you fall out. But then the bungee jump's a lot different. The bungee jump I thought was awful, and that was really, really bad.
Yeah, I love bungee jump.
Oh no, I don't think I could do it again. But the skydiving was completely different because the bungee jump's just like a couple of seconds and that's it. But then skydive, you have that time to mellow out and then enjoy it. The bungee jump, I didn't enjoy it until he was pulling me back up.
You get that though, because skydiving, you've got a bit more time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Interesting. Teresa's saying their paragliding is great too. That's something that I've not done yet, but I'd love to do.
Is that behind a boat?
So paragliding is when you've got the parachute and you jump off the edge of the mountain.
Whoa.
And you're just like guiding yourself.
That looks crazy. Yeah, that looks crazy as well.
You could do it off Ben Nevis, I'm sure. Do you get people doing paragliding up there?
Have you not seen my TikTok of the guy running off the edge?
No.
Oh, I've got. If you go right down to the kind of when I started my TikTok, I was climbing up it last summer, and this guy just started building up this big thing, and he just runs right off the edge. Honestly, I couldn't believe it.
So that's paragliding then, yeah.
You just see him going right down into the mountains below. It's quite a cool video actually. I couldn't believe it. I caught it because it wasn't like right at the top. It was like 3/4 of the way up, just flat. You grasp it, and he just built it up. And I was like, right, we'll just stop and watch him. And then he built it up, and he just ran off, and you hear him just shouting, "Woo!"
That's crazy. Diane saying there you can do the back of a boat parasailing too.
Yeah, I've done that. That was amazing.
I found that really boring.
Did you?
See, when I was up, I was like, right, can we come back down again? Because I was just bored.
The only thing I can kind of remember I remember obviously the adrenaline rush, but I used to hate open water, and I used to hate the feeling of the sharks, and just the big vast openness. And then see, that was the one thing I didn't like about it, because when I was younger and I used to go on the school trips, we used to fall off the banana boat, I would panic. I would hate it. So I used to hate open water. And then when I remember being up there, and because you can see everything, I was like, I hope we'll land back in the boat, because if we land in the water, I am going to freak out. That's why I started open water swimming, to get over my fear. So that was
it's just phenomenal though, isn't it?
Yeah. And the lochs here are dark. You can't see a thing. And that was one of the reasons I started it. I really wasn't a swimmer when I was younger. I like to just throw myself out my comfort zone now, just do things that fear me, and the open water was one. And then started off swimming near the shoreline, and then started working out, and as I become a stronger swimmer, and now go a bit further out. And every time I come out there, there's always that wee sense of self-achievement that's what I used to be petrified of.
I have to say, I don't like so much swimming in the sea, only because of the salty water.
Yeah.
And you get the water in your mouth, and you can't. It's not nice. But I think swimming in a loch is much better.
That loch down there is sea salt right enough, but
is it?
Aye, but there's my mate. He lives in Glenfinnan, right down in the loch, and I don't think his is. I think his is freshwater. And he says it's a lot better.
Yeah, it is much better. Much better to go into a body of water that isn't salty.
Yeah.
I'd seen as well that you were down in Loch Lomond. I know I'd messaged you and says, "Oh, you could have came for a cup of tea. You were just right up the road."
I know. I don't know the area so well. That was the Max Colby guy I was talking about. I was down working, and he does walks in that Ben Lomond quite a lot. And he said to me, I was like, "What's a good walk?" It's in because I wanted to at least do something productive while I wasn't working. And he goes, "Oh, come to Ben Lomond and we'll do a social distance walk, and we'll go for a dip after." I goes, "Aye, definitely." So it was a great walk. I really enjoyed it. Some nice views up there.
Ben Lomond's phenomenal though.
Oh, incredible.
Standing at the top of there and you can see Loch Lomond. It's just amazing.
Incredible.
We done the West Highland Way and we actually camped on Ben Lomond and getting up in the morning and just seeing that view. It's just phenomenal.
Because that's where you start the West Highland Way down there, isn't it? Like that.
Dryman, yeah. So yeah, I'd quite like to do it though from your bit, Fort William, and go back down because honestly, see, a lot of it was like uphill, and I think the best views are like from Glencoe to Fort William.
Yeah.
So I think like starting it on that journey, and then the crappier bits as you go down. So
I really want to do it now. I think just because obviously it's a local thing, I've just never kind of, because obviously people come from Glasgow way, and it's just like it was even the Ben. Like I never started kind of doing like I've started trying to do the Munros and that now as well. I was never into that growing up, but see now I'm just become a mad fascination with the outdoors. So I'm going to start trying to get involved into more stuff like that once the COVID dies down. But
yeah, we live in such an amazing country, and we actually don't see it. It's crazy. We live in these little pods, and we don't see the beautiful country that we live in. It's just mind blowing, isn't it? And but if you do the West Highland Way, there's plenty of bodies of water as you walk down, so you can go for a dip every morning.
That's it.
I have to say that when we were doing it, my cousin thought that I was an absolute loony because obviously I'd already been doing cold water immersion, and it was this. I think I'd said this to you before, but it was this beautiful night. The moon was like bright in the sky, and it had been pouring rain. So I just stripped down to my undies and into the loch, and I was just standing there, and the rain was bouncing off the water, and I was just standing and just like, it was the most amazing feeling in the world.
Yeah, I remember you did tell me that, right enough.
Yeah,
I'm still yet to do that. The full moon.
Yeah, it's really good because the water, it kind of goes like this pasty, chalky blue colour. It's amazing. I suppose it depends on what water you're in.
Yeah.
Next question, Dean. Do you believe in an afterlife?
No, I don't. I do. I don't know. I'm open. I'm an open mind. I drift between different hypotheses, you could say, but I feel like there's just not enough evidence for me to make a clear decision. Like as I said, I hope there is, and I want there to be. So, like, I love obviously the idea that your family and friends are going to be waiting for you, but yeah, I keep an open mind with everything. For me, it's like I just try to make the most of now. Try not worry about that too much. Yeah, I don't want it to let it consume me. I suppose you could say some people would love the idea, obviously, but I don't. It's a false hope's a wrong words to say. But for me, I just like to focus on the present. It's not something that I try to dwell on too much. As I said, I keep an open mind. I hope there is, but I'm just unsure. I don't think there is, but I'm just like that though. I'm very open minded. I
love that.
For example, I don't personally believe in ghosts or anything paranormal. Recently, sort of spirituality, something that's more kind of becoming something I'm trying to learn about as well. I love just the fact that the open mind makes me more intrigued to want to learn more.
Well, don't worry, because I'll teach you all about that side of things.
Yeah. I don't know enough. I just need a teacher.
Yeah, we'll have Dean in a year, and he'll be like, right, okay, so I know that there is an afterlife. So it goes back to the energy thing as well. Like I always say to everybody, energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. So when our physical body dies, it is just a change of energy. That all those memories, that love, that kindness, everything that's within us, it just changes form. But yeah, I absolutely love the fact that you're open minded to it. So, and that's not something I would never try to prove to anybody, about an afterlife or anything like that. But it is a big part of my job as well.
Yeah.
Growing up and sensing and feeling things that other people couldn't sense and couldn't feel, really for me was it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Thinking, how can that person not see that or sense that or feel that? And I think that when we're aware of that there's so much more than what we can perceive with our five senses, then it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm intrigued, like, because obviously, as I said, I'm open-minded to it, but I'm intrigued because I don't know enough about it. And for me to really get my mind changed, I really need to be, kind of showing that sort of side of things. So I'm sure you could probably persuade me. But I'm seeing, as I said, like I'm through the Wim Hof breathing especially and the cold water, I am seeing new things that I've not experienced in the mind. Like I'm having my eyes open to the fact that our minds are more capable of what we are set out to believe. And absolutely. I would love to see how far that potential could go. And spirituality and meditation have been about for a long, long, long time. And the way it's been spoken about in like ancient texts is kind of, a lot of the evidence that you could maybe prove that. But I've just not seen it firsthand. I've never felt it firsthand. Until I do, then it's going to be hard for me to understand it, if that makes sense.
That's always the way, though, isn't it? Because how on earth can anybody understand something without having lived experience of it? And it goes back to what you said in the beginning there. GPs and psychiatrists, they don't have lived experience of things. So how on earth can they show you and advise you and help you? Where if you find teachers that have got lived experience, they can show you these things, and before you know it, you'll be like sitting with the ancestors. And I'm very much a big advocate of that as well. As when I teach people how to meditate, I take them. It takes them quite a long time to get them into that place. But one thing that we can all tap in on, is something that's deep within our DNA, and that is our ancestry. We are the end result of this amazing, amazing line of people that have walked the world before us. So if we can tap into that magic that's within our body, within our DNA, that resilience that they've had to go through in this sometimes crazy world, because we come from an ancestry which is dangerous, it's brutal, barbaric. We actually live in the safest times that we've ever lived. But if we can tap into that primal, amazing energy that's within us all, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Which I love. So yeah, that is part of, meditation. It's part of within every single person's cells in their body and their DNA. There is that magic.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you have in store when I come down.
Yeah, we're gonna have them plugged in on the couch, like. Diane saying there, a suggestion for your book club if you haven't already read it. The Celestine Prophecy. It's brilliant, by the way. See that book? That will blow your mind wide open.
Thank you very much, Diane. I'm writing that down right now.
How good is that book, though, Diane? It is absolutely phenomenal, and it's kind of it gives you this no bullshit facts and figures based approach to everything, which is brilliant, really, really good. And when we speak about meditation as well, Dean, because I know that we'd kind of tapped on meditation before, when we were chatting behind the scenes, and I know that you've had experience of meditation, but nothing really that you could say has been mind blowing or life changing.
Yeah.
And
Apart
what's
from
your,
the cold water.
say that again?
If you could call the cold water meditation, which I suppose you could in a way.
Yeah. Cold water immersion is meditation, because what you're doing is you're focusing your mind on that one thing for that very short period of time, or that longer period of time. When I go into the cold water, I meditate as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because when I meditate, I can take my heart rate down to 53 beats a minute.
Wow. Wow.
So whilst I'm in the cold, and my friend Emma Lavin, who has been doing cold water immersion for a few years, she had actually spoke to me about it and kind of got me interested in it. And I was more interested in the meditative part of it, where the Wim Hof breathing technique, where you feel the tingles through your body. Have you done that?
Yep.
Oh, so good. Anyway, so I can get myself to the point where I'm in the cold water, and when I first go in, my heart rate's up at about 130. So it's, I'm like, panic. And then it comes right down to about 50 to 55 beats a minute.
That's amazing.
And that's just through that practice of regulating your body, like being at one with the water, I suppose.
Yeah. I suppose a big thing with meditation is a lot of people probably don't understand it too well, because people probably have, and for me for a long time, probably had that image where meditation is like sitting with your legs crossed, eyes closed, breathing, or lying down, breathing. But there looks like there's so many different aspects of how you can do it. And obviously the cold water, I know I said before, I probably haven't felt that same feeling, but I was probably referring to the fact that, when someone tells you to meditate or meditation, you're thinking, just lying in your bed with your eyes closed, or, with your legs crossed. But I suppose now that I think about it, with the Wim Hof breathing, which I do every morning, and the cold, yeah, there has been times where I have felt like, whoa, like this is incredible. Yeah. So going back to that, I probably have felt that moment, but I reckon I'm just a nightmare for thinking meditation's just like sitting with your legs crossed. Or I tried to do that girl that I was talking about that had the heart problems with the cold. She was telling me that she listens to gratitude meditation, and I tried one of them the other night. I just couldn't get into it. I feel without the Wim Hof breathing and the cold, when I just sit and try and do these breathing, just trying to fall into that meditated state, my mind's so busy. But then I was going back to what we said before as well. When we talked about this in the self-development book club, there's a guy in it who goes to these sort of Buddhism classes in Inverness, and and he says that at least 20 times, maybe one time, he will get into that state. Sometimes you can, not every time you meditate you're going to get that. And I didn't understand that. I thought when you meditate, everyone just goes into that straight away. And he goes, you need to just, it's all about understanding it better, knowing that sometimes you might not get that. You could meditate 20 times, and that 20 times, that only one time you'll get to that feeling. So this is all new to me. That's why it's called self-development, I suppose, is with the book club, because I'm learning this. And when you're learning that, maybe go, well, maybe I'll try it again, and just maybe keep trying.
So I've been meditating since I was about 7 years old. Right?
Really? Wow.
Wonderful teacher at school who actually introduced me to meditation, where we would sit and we would just look at this coloured piece of card, and we would feel the colour, sense the colour, and she was brilliant. Her name was Mrs. Somerville, and I've actually mentioned her in my book as well, and said how eternally grateful I am to her for teaching me meditation way back then. But when I meditate, Dean, So I done a meditation this morning, 10 minutes every day. That's my practice. And during that meditation, all I could think about was what I had to do today for work, what I was going to have for breakfast. Right, I need to go and put the kettle on. So I had to keep like, come on, shift. And that's the thing. Meditation is really about constantly clearing your mind of all of these things. So nobody's ever going to be in that state of zen. You know, it's recognizing your thoughts and letting them go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that people don't quite get. I think that they are so caught up on meditation should give me a clear mind. And it's probably the biggest thing that people say to me, I just can't meditate because I can't clear my mind. And I'm like, you don't have to clear your mind. Like, think about Coronation Street or whatever soap you're watching. Think about, your next TikTok video that you're making, or think about the MOT that your car desperately needs, or whatever it is. That's okay. Just allow those thoughts just to recognize it. Okay, I hear you, I feel you, thank you, and let that go. And what I do as well is I've got a meditation class for men. Maybe invite you along to it actually, and you might, because we do it on Zoom, and it's a lot of tradesmen who, when they first came in, they were like, oh, "This meditation shite, it's not for me." Like, my missus sent me along because I can't be arsed. What we do is we meditate to like music that's currently in the charts. So
Really?
yeah, absolutely. So it's a meditation technique that I've created. I think that I'm the only person in the world that's created this. I may be wrong, but it's a technique that I've created where we meditate to music that's current and it's in the charts. We focus on breathing and like different techniques of breathing, so that what happens is that you've got muscle memory. So when you're sitting in the van eating your cheese piece with your flask of tea, and that song comes on the radio, it takes you back to that place where you're calm.
Amazing.
So,
amazing.
And honestly, see the guys they're like, I've went from being like stress levels of 20 to stress levels of 5.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I've got one guy, and he'll be really happy for me to share it. His name's Woody. No for Toy Story, but his name's Woody. But he was like, he's an electrician, he's a spark, and he was like probably the angriest guy on the site. Everybody would be scared to speak to Woody in case he like had a go at them. So what Woody now does is anytime he feels any kind of stress at work, he just puts his headphones in and he listens to the piece of music that we've listened to in the class. And 2 weeks ago, he'd shared that it was, the song, oh God, what is it called? That Rihanna song, that, oh, oh, oh. You know that one? Desperado. Sorry. Desperado, that song there.
Yeah.
So we'd listen to that, and we were meditating to that, and it was just 2 or 3 minutes. So he was like, I was totally stressed at work, put my headphones in, Desperado, and it took me back to that place of calm.
That's brilliant.
So good. Brilliant. Yeah. I think I might copyright it actually, so nobody else can.
Definitely send me a link to that. I'd love to join it.
Yeah, I would be honoured to have you on. But honestly, it's just, I think if more guys actually, and more people actually just learn that it doesn't have to be Enya or, plinky plonky piano music. It can be normal current stuff that you love. I've got one guy that meditates to AC/DC, so
wow.
Why no?
That's mad, eh? I love that.
Why no though? Because it's music. It resonates with you. Why no?
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So we're almost at time as well. That's us at an hour, but are you happy to stay on a few more minutes, Dean? Because obviously our sound issues at the beginning.
Of course, definitely.
Cool. So my next question for you is if you could see yourself in 10 years' time. I know that's quite a hard, it's quite a hard question, but if you could see yourself in 10 years' time, what would you be doing?
It's
So
kind of hard. I've got a 5-year plan, so I could probably try and go off that. So I've been spending a lot of time trying to see what my true intentions are. You know, what I value. You know, obviously one of my core values is probably family. So in a way, service, and I'd like to say wealth, but not for self-gratitude. It's not for self-gratification, more for love, because the wealth that I want to create is to help me support more people and help me especially support my son. So right now I'm building a property portfolio to Airbnb that allows me to take more income coming in, which will then help me to hopefully one day hang up the plumbing tools, which will give me more time to focus on my self-development book club, making more self-development content, doing more courses, which I find hard because, you know, as I said before, I work for volunteer for a local mental health charity, and they're pinging courses at me left, right, and centre, trying to find the time because I do almost 12-hour shifts every day. So once I can get that stage where, you know, I've got a passive income where I can hang up the plumbing tools, then I can focus on self-development stuff. I'm working a lot on my public speaking as well. I pay a public speaking coach to help me with that. That can then, in return, I'm working on self-development pieces. I'm working on a piece on failure just now. The overall lifetime goal would be to do a TED Talk. That the wealth obviously still creates the security of me being able to do these things in my own time. And then obviously amongst all that, I said one of my core values is family, which it is because obviously my son comes first. So taking him along with me on my self-development journey, because, you know, when I'm bettering myself, in return, it probably helps him grow into a better person as well, because, you know, a father's a role model. So if I can be the best version of myself, then it'll hopefully rub off on him. And if he sees everything I'm doing, the service, it might, you know, encourage him to be more given and to try and show him that there is love still in this crazy world. So yeah, 10-year plan would be to get to the stage where I'm supporting him, becoming a better person, you know, and and helping others. There's a lot there.
No, I have to say, Dean, I meet very rarely do I ever meet people who kind of align with my values perfectly, and you're one of those people. And anybody who knows me as well, you know, and knows me well, will testify to that, you know, how you're speaking and what you're saying there, it does align perfectly with my values and what I want to create in this world. And that is, you know, to be that person that's there and that support for other people, not have to worry about money, you know, because money's a big thing. And to me, you know, when you're speaking about that, you know, you've got this, it's a bit of a blocker with money because you feel like I want to be wealthy, but I don't want to be egotistically wealthy.
Yeah, you don't want it to be self-gratification. Like, I don't want it for materialistic gain. I done something, this sounds totally crazy, and it's something that made me feel really good. I, obviously, when, you know, I did have that mindset, I wanted to wear the nicest clothes, I wanted to have a nice car. So this sounds crazy, but something that really made me feel like a sort of release was I started selling all my expensive designer clothes. I just didn't like them in my wardrobe anymore, knowing I was spending that much money on them. Getting rid of them now, you know, trying to get rid of that materialistic gain, I find has been a massive help for my self-development. It's trying to get away from that egotistical mindset. Being egotistical is normal. We are built like that, and it's hard to sometimes get away from that. We'll always have it at times. Like even when it comes to the cold water, I'll be like, okay, I want a good time here tonight. So why do I want a better time? Do you know what I mean? So I try not to count myself in the water anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't try to beat myself my own time.
To have
So
an ego is good, though. I always say this to everybody, that having an ego is a brilliant thing.
in ways, yeah.
But to be egotistical and to be a dickhead with it is a completely different
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
You're not a dickhead, so you're okay.
It definitely has its time and place, 100%.
Yeah,
But as I said, it's normal to have it. It's everyone has it, but it's when it consumes you, and
yeah,
it can very easily. Letting go of materialistic items for me was a huge one. I save more money now, which I can invest into myself. You
mhm.
know, it's I don't know. That was something for me. It was a good release. Selling all the designer clothes, just letting go of them. You know, try not because it's to impress other people. It wasn't to impress myself.
Mhm.
And you know, it feels good now that I'm not going to just try and spending all my money trying to impress other people.
Yeah,
I'm really focusing on myself now.
I love that. And what I believe that you will do as well, and call this my prediction if you like, but I think that you will write a best-selling book.
Thank you very much. And it's mad because the guy that rents a room from me, he actually said this to me the other night because he hears me doing my speeches. And he came down, he was sitting on the stairs, I didn't even know, and he was like, I just listened to that. He's like, because he's a college student, so he won't be here for long. And he's like, I just know I'm going to see on the shelf in the future your book with your name on it.
Yeah, I truly believe that. It can go next to my book, actually.
Definitely. It'll probably be both based on the same things anyway.
They'll
Same
be in the
mindset.
same shelf, I'm sure of it. But my best advice to you would be right now, just get everything on paper. Write down, write. Because that's how I started. I've been writing my book for 5 years, and I think when you can collect your thoughts, I've got this right. Really, daft. It's actually a Harry Potter book, and it's just full of shite. It's full of all of my thoughts. It's full of all of my thinking. So if I'm sitting here, so I've got I don't know, something that inspires me. I write it down.
Yeah, I love that.
When I've got a motivational quote, I write it down. When I've got whatever it is, I write it down, and it just it really helped me to get the foundation or the base of my book.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you read Matthew McConaughey's book?
no, no.
That's that. What he's done there with his book is he's went back on his diaries and journals from since he was a teenager and combined it into a book. It's brilliant. Like I love the way he's done it. He's sort of like what you're doing there. With what he's done is in each page he's basically taken bits out of his journals and put them in the actual his book. It's brilliant. It's really good because it's something amazing what he done as well. See, when he was, I think it was when he was just leaving high school, he wrote on a piece of paper where what he wanted to. Oh, it was when he was in college, where he wanted to be in his life and his life goals. And he scrumpled up the paper and he threw it in the bin. But I can't remember. I think he picked it back up and he put it away. And when he was going through all his journals, he found it. And he noticed he'd without even knowing it, he just done everything on that. All his goals were complete. And it was amazing. He was like, he completely forgot he even wrote it. And he goes, but it's probably a lot to do with manifestation. Because in the back of his mind, subconsciously, that was what he always wanted in his life. And without even looking at them goals every day, he done it. I love that. It's a really good book. It's a really good book. It's really inspiring. It's probably one of the best books I've read. It's called Green Lights. It's good.
I need to have a look at that. Yeah, it's interesting because when I was writing the other day, there I was writing another chunk of the book, and when I was looking back, I've got notes there from 10 years ago, and from 10 years ago to now, I am doing what I wanted to do.
That's amazing. It's manifestation, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing that right now. But yeah, that's what happens when we put it out there. We start to live it and we start to create it, and we actually don't realise that we're doing it. So yeah. Dean, I could speak to you for hours and hours, but obviously it's now 10 past the hour, so obviously we're not going to keep everybody that long. 1 second. I'm just gonna jump onto TikTok and give you Dean's TikTok because there's people asking what your TikTok is. You'll probably be able to tell them better than me, actually. Is it Dean Cameron?
Dean Cameron 6.
Dean Cameron 6, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think since the last time we spoke to Dean, actually, he had 6,000 followers. Now he's got 15,000.
It's mad.
15,000!
I wrote a goal at the start of the year to have, I'm pretty sure I started with 2, and my goal was to hit 10k by the end of the year. And also on Instagram, I was trying to hit 2,000 before the end of the year, and we've pretty much hit it. So
yeah, that's amazing. Totally amazing. So I think that you should be so proud of yourself. I think that you should be doing cartwheels and whatever else. But thank you very much for coming back on as well, and hopefully we'll get you back on in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, thanks very much. As I said before, I really enjoy coming on. We have great discussions. I think it's because we're so like-minded, and I feel like we've got so much more we can talk about, and you've got a lot to teach me as well. So
not at all.
And
if you can take a golden nugget for me, then that's brilliant. If there's one thing that you find that I found that really inspiring, then that's great. I always say to everybody, if I can inspire one person with one wee thing, then job done.
Yeah, I really enjoy these, and thanks again for having me coming on. So
no problem. And we're going to have you down at the shop as well. We're going to have you down for a coffee and a chill.
We'll have TikTok live.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Obviously, you've got loads and loads of questions. Everybody's been asking things there, but I think it's more statements than it is questions. So yeah, Angela's saying there, enjoyed the chat this morning, taking loads of your ideas and experiences. Hope to use some of this with the youngsters in my class at school. That's amazing, Angela. So
thank you very much.
Yeah. Just don't get them all jumping into cold water. They'll hate you forever. So yeah, thank you everybody. And Dean, if you stay on a couple of seconds after, we'll have a wee chat. But everybody else, I will see you all tomorrow. And tomorrow we have got Gina from Confident and You, who Gina helps you to be able to present yourself online and that type of thing. So thank you everybody. And thanks, Dean, goodbye.
Take care everyone. Cheers.
Bye.
Strong.